What's good everyone, it's Zigzag here, welcome back to another geography video. Today I'm going to be playing the Rainbolt weekly challenge, where I'll be shown a bunch of still frames from Google Maps and I'll have to guess which country they're in, according to the rules set by the quiz master Lenley. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first section here is called USA or Rest of the World and it's worth 35 points. So we're going to have like 10 images here, I believe. So firstly, we have to guess whether it's in the US or not, and secondly, we have to guess which state it's in, or if not in the US, then which country it's in. So hopefully that made sense, and here is the first one, USA or the rest of the world. Well, obviously all of these are not going to look like the USA typical USA rounds, so I would say that's something we've got to probably put into my mind firstly. Now this one could certainly be the US. In fact, I'm probably going to say it is, but the fact that we have the moss growing in the center of the road here is very confusing. So all in all, it kind of looks most like, I don't know, like Austria or something like that, but I really think this is going to be the US, especially because the road is kind of, even though it's very thin, I don't know, like, so I'm going to say US here. I think the main reason is that something just doesn't quite feel right for Europe. Like, it probably looks most like Austria or Slovenia, and yet I just don't really see that you would see moss there growing that much, like in the center of the road like this. It's more like something you'd see in the UK or Ireland, but I don't think these trees particularly feel like that area of the world. So I'm gonna say US here. Now, of course, we have to write at some point, here we have to write what state we think it is in, and I have no better clue. And I think it should be something Appalachians. I was gonna say Massachusetts, but I think that's probably too flat to see rounds like this. What about Vermont? It's not quite like all the way up in the Appalachians, but I think you'd get that kind of colder climate that would lead to moss like that. So I'll try Vermont here. Not really too confident on that, but we'll give it a go. Next one here obviously looks quite a bit more like the USA with these yellow road lines. They do kind of feel a bit strange, so I could see it being Canada. I guess the other consideration would be that these might be like temporary yellow lines and maybe it would be Europe for that reason, but ultimately I don't think so. This might just be reverse psychology. This could just be the US, but if it was there, I would like have been thinking about like Minnesota or something like that, but I think the hills were too big, so I'm not quite sure here. I don't think it's Argentina. I think that's quite unlikely. I don't think anything else works in South America for that matter. I did think of Finland here for some reason, but normally you would see a white line here instead of a yellow one, so that's what's kind of leaning me against it. And then I guess the other thought has to be Canada here, but then I'm not really sure where in Canada would work. I think what I'm going to do is come back to this one and kind of see what the balance of the other locations is, and then when we come back to this, we can kind of like go with whatever's been like kind of least chosen. So let's go to the next one here, and this is interesting because it immediately looks like Australia, and yet something, well, hold up, where's the smoke is coming from the back of the car, the dust, right? And that would appear that we were driving on the right-hand side of the road. So that's kind of strange, right? So probably not Australia then. But then I guess the other country that it looked most like was just South Africa. So I feel like this is Australia. I'm not really sure what that mountain range is in the background. It is, it's a difficult location to have me stumped like this. I definitely can think of places in Australia this could be. I definitely can think of places in South Africa that this would be, but why drive on the right-hand side of the road like that? Is there something that they're overtaking that we just can't see? With a single frame, you really can't infer too much, I guess. So, yeah, I guess Argentina is possible as well. I don't really think it's the US, to be honest. I think this is the rest of the world, but the options are still threefold. You know, those mountains are pretty big. I am gonna say this is South Africa. I'm quite unsure here. Also, the fact that it's Generation 4 is a bit scary. And I really hope it's not Oz, but I just can't really place this mountain range. By the way, if this is the US, then this is a wild round, because this is definitely a eucalyptus tree. These ones in the distance kind of appear to be as well. So, yeah, I really think it's probably South Africa, Arg, or Australia, and South Africa seems to be the best. Although, maybe with the right-hand drive, Argentina would be a better choice. I don't know. Bro, it looks so much like Australia. I'm going to leave it at South Africa. I really think also the fact that it's right-hand drive almost would say Argentina as well, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not really sure there. This one, I feel like I've seen this before. I think this is the US, and was it like Oregon or California? I don't know. I feel like this is like, maybe California. I don't know. It just gives me a really familiar vibe. And also the fact that like, yeah, it's super Mediterranean, so surely it's one of those two maybe even Washington State. I'm pretty sure that this is US though. I'm happy with that. Okay, next one here. This infrastructure feels very North American, so I would say this is going to be this is going to be the USA. Now, the tiling is certainly weird, and the trees are also a bit weird, but I think all in all, it definitely makes sense. Maybe one of the Dakotas, like South or maybe North Dakota here is what I would go for. I think that's a pretty stock standard choice, but just with the hills and kind of the very like sandy soil as well, I can really see it. Maybe even like Wyoming, but I feel like the coverage just kind of feels a bit more like the Dakotas. I don't know if that's going to be right or not, but we'll see. Okay, next one here, this is very difficult. So this one, it doesn't really look like the US to me. I guess the option would be Hawaii here, but I don't think so. So then maybe Mexico could work here with these kinds of trees. I'm just trying to think. There's definitely something else we could do here. The kind of interesting thing is here how green those mountains are in the background. Like there's some dryness to them, but they're more green than I would have expected. I don't know, Mexico's the standard choice here. I'm not really seeing what is like the next best option. And even though it's not an easy Mexico, I think I'm gonna go for that. Uh-oh, next one here also just looks like Mexico, but this could be just over the border on the US side. The truck in the background is very difficult to see, but it almost feels like the type you see most on the Mexican side. But I'm gonna say this is USA and we go Texas. So then we have to return all the way up here. So we had a USA, rest of the world, USA, USA, rest of the world. This is difficult. I think it is the US, but it's just a weird landscape. I think that's what's meant to be confusing about it. So I don't think it was going to be somewhere in Alaska, though it could be. I think the trees are a bit too, diverse for that. But then I'm not really sure where to actually put this. I don't have a good idea for Canada either, so I am going to go US here. I'm kind of tossing up between Maine and like something in the Rockies here. I think maybe the Rockies idea is better. Maybe like we could try Colorado. I don't think it's there. I think the trees are a bit too far north, but it could also just be the fact that we're high altitude here. So yeah, I think I'm happy with the guesses here. This one is really annoying me. It looks so Australian, and yet I don't think it's there. I feel like even if we had a compass there, that would be incredibly useful. But I will go South Africa begrudgingly here. Very, very begrudgingly. Okay, let's move on to the next section here, see what the rules are. I have no idea. So we have 10 handpicked images, and we are just going to be guessing the country with multiple choice. Excellent. So yeah, we here have some ones from Wolf Trekker, who is another Geoguessr YouTuber who I've collabed with multiple occasions before. Definitely a legend. And the first one here is difficult. Kind of looked a bit like Cambodia to me, but we do not have that as an option. Instead, we have Mexico, US, Philippines, UK, and Colombia. I would say that this is United Kingdom in Bermuda, maybe. That's kind of how this appeared to me with these trees, but maybe the fact that that's an option is just what's throwing me off here, and it's not that at all. I don't know, we have like very weird vegetation here though. We have like seaside trees, we have lots of conifers, and then we also have like, I don't know, like really kind of interesting, like kind of flower things here. So, I guess like, what would be my second option here? I don't think it's Mexico. US is always possible, but I just don't really know where it would be. I don't think it's Colombia, and Philippines is the best next option, I think. But, and we have an interesting palm there. I don't know, yeah, actually, Colombia is still an option. I do think most of them are actually active options, but I'll go UK. It's just a thought I had. The cloudiness is a bit weird, but yeah, I'm happy to cop it if it's wrong. Okay, next one here. France, Indonesia, United States, Malaysia, or United Kingdom. Okay, I don't think it's United Kingdom this time. We have like some coffee bean plants here. The road is strange, so US is kind of possible just with how dark the road is. That's quite common there, I think. I get the feeling it's maybe a Réunion kind of role. Or, I don't think it's Malaysia. Like, the left-hand side of the screen looks quite Malaysian, but then the right-hand side doesn't really. So, I can still see Malaysia, but I don't really think so. And then Indonesia's quite a good possibility here. I do like Indonesia or France best, I think. So what about Indonesia? Where would I put it? I don't know. I feel like Indonesia's definitely active. I want to go France here though. Just something about the whole round feels quite off. It almost looks like we got some volcanic rock here. So could this be Hawaii? Maybe. It could really be Hawaii. Ooh, the volcanic rock might make me switch here. I think, oh, but then again, like Réunion's also quite volcanic as well, right? So it's like basically a volcano itself. So, but the rock walls, that is something you do see quite often in Hawaii in comparison to Réunion. If this was like, if South Korea was an option here, I may have gone there because you get those black rock walls there as well quite commonly. So, of the two, what about, I mean, it is a bit flat. So I actually may choose US here. I hope I'm not switching off the correct answer. But it's a very thin road for the United States. No, I'm going France. Okay, one of the two, I think, but yeah, I'll go for that. Next one here, winter coverage. Lithuania, Czechia, Slovenia, Romania, Bulgaria. This probably felt most Romanian to me, but I could even see like a really weird kind of hilly Lithuania or something like that here. Czech and Slovakia, all options as well. Don't really think there's too much to say here. This is just a kind of Europe roulette kind of round. I don't know, something about the fences and the infrastructure may feel a bit more Czech or something like that. It's very difficult to say. Yeah, actually kind of switching my mind from Romania to Czechia here. The whole round is strange. It's got a bit of an eerie feel to it, but I really don't know which country this is more likely to be. I'm gonna try Czechia there. Next one here is for sure strange. We've got cobblestone road, very old style architecture, generation 2 camera here. Immediately just kind of thought of Brazil as being one of the main options here. So I don't think it's France. Mexico is quite a good possibility here. Spain and Portugal, I just feel like on a bait map that those would be too low hanging, but of the two, probably Portugal would fit best. It's like a bit of a Portuguese pavement here, so that's what makes me want to go Brazil. Also the fact that this is so green in the background. So yeah, I would say so here. I think the whole vibe of it is more Portuguese and for that reason, Brazilian bait, I would say. However, and you do get this generation 2 camera sometimes in Brazil, though it's very rare. Yeah, I think Mexico second option and then Portugal third option. I don't think it's France or Spain. So yeah, let's go for Brazil there. Next one here. Ooh, big mountains in the distance that are very green. That's an interesting pole top and ooh, it's an interesting round. I thought it was going to be Malaysia. It's not even an option here. So let's examine the others. Hong Kong, I don't think I like. Japan is distinctly possible if this was a trekker or something like that. Ecuador, I'm not too hot on, I think. Taiwan? Wolf Trekker did live in Taiwan for some time, so he may have some crazy Taiwan baits. Wouldn't surprise me. And yet that Japan angle is very intriguing to me. I could see this being deep south in Japan. The pole is very strange. Like, we really don't get a good view. It doesn't feel Japanese. But then again, does it feel particularly Taiwanese? Probably not. Maybe a little bit more. I think ultimately it doesn't really fit any country that's listed here. I feel like, you know, Indonesia would probably be like the safe choice if we weren't playing a bait map. But I would just go for Japan here. I think Wolf Trekker could pull out a weird Japan like this, and I do think that like it's probably just some trekker, especially because we're so close to the side of the road here. So I think it fits. Next one here, we got like some kind of an Asian village going on here. This is interesting. Australia's immediately an option. Though, could this be South Africa? We do have South Africa as an option here. I think it's there. The very sloped curb here is like typical of Western Australia and South Africa. And the way the sky's kind of grey, even though it's blue, I feel like you sometimes see that in South African Gen 3. It doesn't just, I just feel like I would have seen this as well if this was Western Australia, and it kind of feels like it would be like northern Western Australia, whereas this round doesn't really feel like it would be possible to see north of Perth because it feels like such big infrastructure. Indonesia, I'm really not hot on. USA is possible, that's for sure, but I don't think I love it either. But what about Japan? Japan, we could, like, this is the problem. This is the same kind of round. This time it does feel like we're more in the center of the street on a normal Google camera, but I could see it. Now, I don't think so. I think it's unlikely, but the possibility is kind of eating away at my brain right now. I think I'll go for South Africa. The fact that it's got like kind of big fences around it as well is seeming fairly good for South Africa, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting. I don't know how much of a Chinese population or whatever this is from, maybe Chinese, Japanese population that South Africa has. It's probably not that many, but yeah, I think the infrastructure fits too nicely for it, so I'm gonna go for that. Next one here, we got the license plate covered up. We've got old generation 2 camera, Germany, San Marino, Croatia, Slovenia, Italy. So this is interesting. Slovenia does have a bit of spillover generation 2 coverage. We have a guardrail there, which is just out of sight, so we can't quite make out what it should be. Now, we do have a poll going on here on the left-hand side of the screen. A lot of these countries don't really have too many polls, so that could be a big clue here. I don't know, the more I look at these kind of light posts, I think they kind of feel, I guess I would say, quite Western European, so maybe making Croatia and Slovenia less likely. Still kind of looks like both of those countries, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Slovenia, but Italy, I think, and Croatia. But Italy, I think, is my main thought here. San Marino is still possible. I do think San Marino is not out of the question. I think Italy is best, so I'll go for that. The next one here immediately looks like Russia, so we have to keep that in mind. We have lots of wildflowers here. I think there's too many and too tall trees for Iceland. It's not out of the question, but I think I would have seen this before, so I'll rule that out. Sweden is very possible. Finland is very possible, although I think less likely than Sweden, and Canada is also a distinct possibility here. Honestly, this round kind of feels like a Canadian submission to me. It just kind of feels like the type of thing Wolf Trekker might submit. And yet, I think if I was going without that, I would probably just instantly go Russia. Like, if this wasn't a bait, intentional. Like, if this wasn't intentionally made to be baity. So, question. I think I will go Canada here. But I still think that Sweden and Russia are both pretty good options. And yeah, I'm just kind of going based on the psychology here. Okay, next one here. This is interesting. Chile, US, Mongolia, Argentina, and Greenland. Well, I don't think it's Greenland, so that's fine. Chile is an interesting thought here. I don't hate that. I think it's possible. US was my first thought. Definitely kind of looks like the US. Not out of the question. Mongolia. I think there's too much infrastructure for Mongolia here. Though it's not out of the question, that's for sure. Arge. Yeah, Arge is obviously possible. This for me, I really struggle to get too much out of. I think Chile and the US are probably the strongest here, with maybe Mongolia as my third option. I just don't for some reason think it's Argentina. But I might just go Chile here. I think it's a decent option. I'm not really sure what this beach is about, but I feel like this could be like central, like middle coast of Chile. So yeah, I don't know. Don't love it, but I think that's my main thought. So I'm just gonna go for it. And the next one here is, I mean, immediately just thought Czechia here. Croatia, Hungary, Bulgaria, Germany. I do consider this could even be German spill or something like that with the Generation 3. But I would just go Czechia here, quite simply. Maybe Hungary, and maybe Bulgaria. Not Croatia, I think. I want to say it's not Croatia, but yeah. I mean, it's Wolf Trekker. He's probably pulled something crazy out. I'm going to go Czechia here again, which does beg the question, would he put 2 Czechias in? Because this one we also answered Czechia. However, I'm gonna go for both. I think one of them's wrong, but let's hope that one of them is right. Okay, next one here, we have locations submitted by Trickter33, who is one of my teammates on Geoguessr from back in the tournament days, and he has submitted a bunch of the hardest rounds he possibly could find, and they'll be worth between 5 and 10 points. So we won't find out until after the quiz, but yeah, that's what's going on. Okay, so first one here, this is difficult. I thought of Turkey immediately, just with this kind of concrete curb here. I think there's too much infrastructure for Senegal, even though the climate feels quite similar to there. What about like Thailand? Thailand would be an interesting shout. The infrastructure kind of fits. And the amount of litter is interesting. I'm not really sure if that fits. I'm not really sure what to make of that, to be honest. But yeah, Turkey is my first thought. I don't think it's correct, but at the same time, nothing really comes to mind better. Maybe Spain could be a good second option, but I think Turkey over Spain here, so I'll go for that. Next one here, definitely difficult. Could this be Australia? I think this house is not Australian, but This side of the screen almost felt a bit Australian. Europe is still most likely, I think. Maybe Estonia kind of came to mind here. I think that's kind of an obvious answer though. What about Poland or... That's very difficult. I mean, the corrugated iron fence almost does still feel Australian. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm trying to like rationally break it down. I think everything would be fine for Australia, but this house and the fence around it. Like this side of the screen I could send Australia quite happily. So I gotta think about what that means. I guess Chile is also possible. Maybe I'll go for Chile here. If it kind of gave me a Southern Hemisphere vibe, maybe it's possible. I think my other thought was like Estonia, but yeah, I guess, I don't know. I want to try something interesting. Let's go Chile here. Next one here. If this is hard, maybe it's the US, because we have a very thin road. It's very flat. It looks like the Netherlands, right? I mean, like, you would instantly guess Netherlands here. So that's the question. Are we getting rolled? Are we getting kind of trolled here? So that's the question. Is this some sick prank and it is just the Netherlands, or do we try something creative like the USA? Meh. I don't know what I think of this. I do not. What about Poland? I don't hate Poland here. It's definitely meant to look like the Netherlands, but I could see with these kind of rows of trees in the background, those kind of forests, as well as the presence of corn, being decent for Poland. The thing is, it's so flat. This is dead flat. It has to be somewhere where you have that. And sure, it's possible in Poland, but it's not particularly likely, I feel. Denmark's also a decent shout. Denmark, there are certain places that look like this. I will try Poland. I don't think it's right. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's wrong, but it came to mind, and I don't mind it. Okay, so next one here. This is familiar. Generation 3. We've got a bike lane. This one could be the US this time, but the infrastructure, like the curb on the side of the road, feels quite Euro. I guarantee you, if we have this bike lane going on here like we do, this is not a Western European country, because that would be too on the nose. But this lamp feels very Western European, so I am confused about that. Maybe like Croatia. That could make sense with the trees, could make sense with the light, I think. The bike lane is weird for Croatia, but it's meant to be a weird round, right? So I think I might just go for that. I don't know, man. I think I will. I think I will try it. You know what though? Some of these trees in the background do feel like southern pines from the US. I'm switching to USA. I think it's just more likely. Sure, the curb is weird, but the light and kind of the trees do fit better. So I'm gonna go US there. Next one here. Peru. Maybe Peru. I feel like I've seen Peru rounds definitely like this. Maybe Colombia too. I think it's one of those two. When we have these kind of, these kind of silver fern, whatever they're called, like big weeds here. You see those in both countries. It's definitely more of a Colombia thing, but given that we're up against Trickter here, maybe that he would think that makes it too easy. Or maybe even Ecuador here is decent. Ooh, it's interesting. I think I will try Peru. If it's actually Colombia, I'll be a bit disappointed, but then I feel like, you know, the psychology of it just comes so much into it, because I think if I was just sending, I would go Colombia, but yeah, that's okay. Next one here is Eastern Europe for sure. It looks like Poland. The house looks Polish. Maybe Romania for that reason, or something like that. Something some country that often you could confuse for it, but is a bit different. Czechia, Slovakia, it's both possible as well. Or maybe even like a very weird Finland or something like that. It feels more Eastern European, but it's not out of the question. This architecture is really interesting. The fact that it's like so separated back and kind of just like abruptly ends the house. I don't know. Very few windows as well. Okay, it's meant to give you a Eastern Europe vibe. Maybe this is Austria, and that's why. And that's why it's included, because I could see Austria working decently here with the houses and with this kind of interesting fence, like at least being a possibility. So I'll try it. You know, Trichter is, you know, German himself, so it's not unreasonable to think he could come up with something like this. And the landscape definitely fits, so I don't hate it. This one, very difficult. Malaysia comes to mind, maybe Indonesia, maybe even Bhutan could be possible here. Almost looks like they are prayer flags, you know. Screw it, I'll try Bhutan, let's go for that. Not really so sure about that, but we'll give it a go. And the last one here, felt immediately Russian. Kind of looks like Omsk Oblast here, but at the same time, we have a very rocky kind of soil here, so I'm not so sure about that. US and Canada both work quite nicely. Could see like Hungary, Poland, something in that kind of realm. The rockiness of it is throwing me here. I almost want to try Austria again, you know. There is that one section like southeast of Vienna that's also this flat. Argentina? I don't think so. I'm gonna try Austria again. Silly, perhaps. I'm gonna go for it. Submit. Let's go. Okay guys, and let's move on to the answers here. I've literally just received these as soon as I finished playing, so should be interesting to see what happens here. But let's head through. The memories are fresh, so let's see how we did. First one here, was it the US or the world? Correct answer was the US. Okay, but we don't have the percentages yet. Lenley is still working on those, and it was in California. So Vermont, clearly incorrect there by a long way, basically as far as you can be, but nevertheless, we got our 2 points for getting the US correct there, so that's good. This one also, I think, should be the US. And it was the rest of the world, so where was it? Argentina, thought of it, but the yellow dashes next to the main yellow dash are very weird to see in Argentina. Normally, you'll see white dashes next to the yellow line, so that is what made that difficult. Barring that fact, I think I could have gotten it. But obviously that's a round that's highly contingent on the road lines. But that was like the one I was most unsure about, so let's head through to the next one. Is Australia. Okay, it was the US. That makes sense. We were driving right. This tree, as I said, highly suspect for getting US there. To be fair, South Africa, I was never happy with any option. So maybe I should have intuited that it would be US. I don't know, the eucalyptus tree is definitely wild there. And of course it's California. I think a lot of people will get that right. Honestly, I discounted California for some reason. But it makes perfect sense. So yeah, that one's the most disappointing so far. Next one here, I think this is also California, maybe. Okay, it was the US, and it was Utah. Okay, so I had the right general region, but I thought it was gonna be California. I just thought I'd seen it before. So we at least have some points here. Obviously, there's been plenty of US, so I wonder if it's all US. That's my question. We did have one Argentina, to be fair, yes. This is the US, and it was South Dakota. Oh, I almost went South Dakota. We should get some points for getting North Dakota, but I wish I could go back and change that. It was my second thought, but yeah, what can you do? Next one here, I really hope this is not US. It was US, what? New Mexico, wow. How are those hills so green? I don't understand that. But again, our Mexico guess is not too bad there. And the last one here, now I think this is gonna be Mexico, unfortunately. But if not, I think we'll get it right with Texas. And it was Mexico, damn it. Mud, I hate you, but I love you, brother. That was a hard set of rounds, and especially some of those Californias were frustrating. So there we go. Some people getting a bunch of points there. I think we got 4. I think we got 4 points, right? So clearly not a good start, but we have plenty of room to come back. So let's see what happens on the next one here. So this was the first one. I said UK, and it was Bermuda. Easy. That was very, very nice. Very happy with that. That's a difficult round, I think, but the vegetation made sense. Next one here, France or the US? And it was Hawaii. Now, we went, what? I think we trusted the narrowness of the road and went France. So I think we got that incorrect, unfortunately. 50-50s happen like that. This one was Lithuania. My first thought, and yet I thought the hills were too big, but it does make sense. This is Wolf Trekker. That one, I think a lot of people get that right, to be honest, just because it was so strange. But yeah, moving on. This one, I think Brazil, and it was Brazil, nice, yeah. This one, is it Japan? It's Hong Kong. I don't know why, I just discounted it because the mountains were so distant. The fact that it was I think that was the one I really thought it wasn't, but yeah, I mean, the fact that it was in there as an option always made it possible. I guess the Japan guess is not too bad, but yeah, should have got it, perhaps. Is this South Africa? I'm very curious. It is. Very difficult round, but the curb meta really helped me there, so I think that's a difficult get. I'm happy with that, although I think a lot of people will get it. The next one here, is it Italy? Slovenia. It looked like Slovenia, to be fair. Definitely looked like Slovenia. I don't know, just wasn't aware of this build coverage because obviously Generation 2 is not normally possible in Slovenia, but okay. Next one here, is it Canada? Iceland. Wow. Tallest trees in Iceland. I would have thought I would have seen this road before, but yeah, I guess it's near the northern city, the one that starts with A. That would make sense to me, at least. The next one here, will it be Chile? Greenland. That's disgusting, bro. How is that possible? Yeah, obviously doesn't look like Greenland, but in hindsight, this is very, like, it had to be quite cold with this. I don't know. It was either going to be like quite a cold climate or quite like a salty climate with this kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't think that would exist either. I wonder how many people will get that right. Surely some people will know Greenland coverage and will know it, but yeah, that's difficult. And the last one here, Croatia, yeah. Bro. Czechia is such an obvious answer. Like, it looks like it. But, like, Croatia made Germany made the least sense, definitely. But then Croatia made the next least sense, and I should have just gone for it. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes play it too safe with these kind of things. Nevertheless, I don't know how many points per round we actually get there, but I think we did decently here. I think we're at least like kind of up with, you know, we may have even topped it because I don't think we've actually been updated into this leaderboard. So that's at least something good. That was a good set for us, and it could have been great if we went Hawaii, but yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, next one here. Okay, we have this one is the most answered correct. So that's interesting. Is it Turkey? And it was Singapore. 32% got that correct. It must be like a famous round or something like that. People must know that from something because this looks nothing like Singapore, right? I don't think there's a single thing in there that I could use to identify that as Singapore. Yeah, this must have gone around some Discord or something. That's kind of annoying. Probably on Plonket itself if so many people got it right, but I had no help in hell, no help. Okay, finally moving on to the third section here. Let's see how we did. The percentages and stuff will be updated and will be posted inside the Rainbolt Discord, so you can go check that out. For now, let's just see if we got things correct. And the first one here, worth 5 points, was indeed Peru. Very happy with that. That is one where we used the logic of Trickster making this round and got it correct. Very nice. I've probably had a round near here at some point and kind of intuited it from that. So that's a really good start. Next one here, we said Chile, and it was Chile. Let's go. This is a huge result. Yeah, just something about the fact that it could have been Australia really tipped me over there. We got 5 points, so obviously these were the two easiest, still decent. Okay, let's see, next one here. This one we said was Bhutan. It was Bangladesh, actually. The Northern Hills, I'm assuming this is like northwest, but maybe it's near Chittagong, I don't know. But yeah, the like kind of northern Bangladesh I often confuse with Bhutan, so that was only worth 6 points. Let's see, they're gonna get more difficult from here. And this one is Singapore. Now, I don't see how there's a hope in hell you could get this correct. If anyone, apparently this is one of the less difficult ones. So I don't understand how anyone got this correct, but maybe there's something in there that could tell you, maybe like the crane or something like we had some, yeah, we have some kind of like a digger here. So I could maybe, like, I just don't see this. Like, this is insane to get correct. So if that's 4 out of 8, I don't think we're getting any more right. But let's see. This one was Turkey, okay? I think Austria's not a bad shout. The rockiness and the fence here makes sense, but it's very difficult. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. That one's gettable, but apparently less people got it right than the last one, so pretty wild. The next one here, so I don't think we're gonna get this right. Let's see, Taiwan, okay. Yeah, that is definitely up there with about as difficult as you can possibly get. Now, the fact that it's so flat is fine, but the fact that it's a corn crop, and I don't know, the sandiness is definitely weird for any country I was thinking of, but yeah, we went Poland, that's no good. Okay, this one, 10 out of 10 difficulty. Obviously we went US. We switched off Croatia, and it was Serbia here. Okay, so obviously the Croatia guess was much closer. I still think Serbia is pretty much ungettable, so that's why it's worth 10 points. But yeah, I mean, not ungettable. No, you could possibly get there mentally, but I think like Croatia is always the better option unless you're trying to just guess something so out there. And the last one here is Turkey as well. Okay, so it makes sense. The houses feel very European, but it was indeed not Eastern Europe, unless this was in the European part of Turkey. So there we go. And hey, we actually have been updated in the leaderboard here, and we got number 5 there, which is obviously a really nice result. This just means we joined the club of people who got the first 2 correct. And so Sads, you probably got like a 6-pointer and a 10-pointer or something like that. So that's really impressive. And here is the final leaderboard. So we actually came top 20 again here. This is obviously a really nice result. Now, the US one let us down so much. I think we probably would have been better just guessing US every time, given the nature of the format. I think it actually would have been a valid tactic there. And then just guessing the most likely state. Still, I think like, yeah, JHK only gets 9 points there, so I really don't feel too bad about it. And the people getting 21 points there, probably American, but even still, look, JHK's only getting 9 points. So I low-key don't like, I just feel like some of these good scores are people just randomly guessing or just doing the opposite of what they think or whatever. So yeah, and if we had have pulled a really nice score there, we would have been instantly up into the top 5 or 6. But of course, that is very dependent on how you're feeling on the day. And yeah, our 10 points here is definitely like what drove us all the way up there, which is very nice. I thought we did better here, but again, another one where like just few different little answers would have been so beneficial, but that is the nature of the game. Guys, thank you very much for watching the video all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and play next week's in the description. And I think even at some point, some of the locations might come from yours truly. So do stay tuned. And yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in a video very soon. Till next time, and goodbye.